All right, well, welcome everyone to our webinar series. For those of you that are newer to webinar series, we've been doing this for about 3 years, and so we have a lot of content built up. I'd like to introduce you to our team. We've got Nancy and Arnie on the call. Nancy's a Arnie is our process improvement guru. Starts with the business problem first and then looks to tech. Nance is our productivity consultants and business application trainer, so she's an expert on all the business apps. And the way we do our webinars is we will cover 20 minutes of roughly about content and then open it up for Q&A, but feel free to start asking questions along the way in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute yourself as well, but we definitely try to cover the content and then open it up for Q&A. And today the topic is what's changing with Microsoft Stream, and I'll let Nancy explain what Stream is and what's changing with it when we get to it. And then next month, the topic is how to reduce onboarding time and errors using SharePoint. And so Arnie will be up to talk about that. We don't have the registration link for the one next month yet, but I put a bunch of links in the chat, and there's one out there that takes you to where all the past webinars are, and that's where you can always register for the next webinar. So it should be up in the next day or so, but other links out there like a YouTube channel and things like that. So the whole intention of our webinar series is really to look at it from a business lens of what are the biggest business problems that we're having and how can Microsoft 365 solve that? We don't lead with tech first. There always needs to be a business reason. And typically, if we're hearing any of these business challenges within an organization, we know that there's something within Microsoft 365 that can help. Other warning signs or symptoms are often back-to-back meetings. When companies are having back-to-back meetings, often that means they're not communicating effectively, not collaborating effectively, and so they call a meeting. And so if that is the environment you live in, there's a pretty good chance this suite of tools can help. Also, overflowing email inboxes is another symptom that things are not being run efficiently within the organization. In this post-pandemic world, this is still pretty much the ratio we're seeing. Many hybrid companies, some fully remote, some fully in office. But no matter what, you want to get your data in the cloud, you want to get your applications in the cloud, because even if you're fully in office, you're going to have the poor parent who wakes up in the morning, did not plan to work from home and has a sick child and now needs to work from home. So their ability to easily get on any mobile device and access all their applications, all the data is huge for driving productivity. I'm going to talk about one case study, and that case study is in the link in the chat as well. So we try to share a case study every time. So this particular one is about a manufacturing company, and what was happening is I was coaching the head of sales, the head of engineering, the head of manufacturing. And while coaching them, I could just tell there were a lot of inefficiencies. They were spending a lot of time interrupting each other and trying to find information. And so we recommended moving forward with doing some development and leveraging 365. So the challenge was really the workflow between sales and engineering was very inefficient. There was no clear record of the sales commitment, and it was really difficult to get an update on where was the status of the project. And so everybody had to interrupt each other and look at emails to find the information. So that was the issue for the sales and engineering group. For the engineering management group in particular, it was very difficult for them to do resource planning. They really couldn't see how busy everybody was, hard to find information. Whenever there was a scope change to the project, that was a nightmare trying to figure out like where we stand and what needs to change. And so we always say there was not really a supervisor's portal, the ability for the manager to really come in and see where things are and manipulate the plan. I always try to look at existing software. And so we looked at their ERP system because they had a great ERP system that did a number of great things like materials management, their financials. But like any piece of software, there's some things it does really well and some things it doesn't do very well. And in this particular case, the ERP tool really had insufficient reporting, and it was very difficult to manipulate the data. So we made the decision to actually dump the data out of the ERP and be able to use that information. We dumped it into SharePoint. And the results of building out an application. So a lot of people think SharePoint is just a data repository. I learned this probably, Arnie, from you for the first time. SharePoint is not just a place where you store documents. You can actually build out really robust applications, and that's exactly what we did. And so the benefits overall for the entire company is now they can schedule on availability and not kind of just a gut feel that somebody probably can take on. They can actually look at true capacity. It streamlined the whole project management process. It gave transparency to all the departments. So sales could now see the status without having to ask the engineers. And there was a centralized repository now for all the information related to the projects. The benefits from the management perspective, again, enhanced visibility, ability to do that resource planning. And we were building now a repository that would allow them to do better forecasting and future project planning. So with more accurate and robust information. The benefit to the engineers, I love the first one. The engineers were so much happier with the process. They could schedule their own work. They weren't overwhelmed with too much data. They could actually come into SharePoint and only see the view they wanted to see. They could have alerts notifying them when it was their turn in the process. And just, it was a great example of leveraging a lot of the power of 365. From the sales perspective, faster response time to customers was the huge perk, more accurate information, and way better internal communication between engineering and sales and manufacturing. So we always tried to kind of give you a snapshot of the cost. So the good thing about using Microsoft 365 is you don't have ongoing subscription costs. So the ongoing costs were zero. The project cost was $58,000. This included, though, also doing a process improvement project where you're looking at roles and responsibilities, documenting workflow, a lot more than just building out the technical build. We always try to calculate at least one hard number. There were tons of intangible benefits, as you just heard, but we took the numbers from the sales team and calculated every day, all 4 of the sales reps would spend about a half hour a day trying to track down the status of the projects. And now they only need to spend about 5 minutes because they have a tool they can go into and quickly check. So when you multiply 4 sales reps saving 25 minutes a day, ends up being 54 days more in the year to sell. So it's so interesting how when you extrapolate, annualize out time savings, how big it is. So the timeline for actually doing the project was about 4 months. So I would say a massively huge success. And I think that's the last slide. So perfect. Awesome. On that note, Nance, I'll turn it over to you to talk about this topic today.
Awesome. So Microsoft Stream, what is it? Why might you want to use it, or am I already using it? And how do I, access it, and what can it do for me? So first I want to start out with what is Stream to begin with. Just, what is it? So Microsoft says it is an enterprise video management service. Big words. What does that really mean? It means that you have the ability to create videos, to store videos, to share videos, and to view videos. So that's what that big long term means. And it's built on Microsoft 365. So it's integrated with everything. And as I go through the slides, you're going to see that.
Nancy, some people will say it's kind of like your internal YouTube channel. Is that a true statement?
Yes. Yes, and it's even gone beyond that. So give me a minute and I'll tell you what it was and what it has become, and how it actually can go outside of your organization now, where before the Stream Classic, you could only share your videos internally. So, but Microsoft Stream is integrated across everything Microsoft, like I said. You can see Stream videos inside of Teams, Viva Engage, which is Yammer if your organization has been using that. It now changed to Viva Engage. The whole Viva suite, and there's 3 or 4 or 5 different tools in that Viva suite, and it's integrated with that as well. You can put videos into PowerPoints. So also they can be stored either on your OneDrive or your SharePoint. So really, as you look at where files stored, you can go ahead and store a Stream video there. So there's no, where before it was only in the Stream Hub. So this is really a big, huge change. Some of the common uses for Stream, and you're probably already familiar with it if you're using Teams, is that you can go ahead and record and watch those Teams meetings. And that's a really nice feature if your organization isn't recording those meetings. Just had a client tell me the other day that someone wasn't going to be there, and it's really important that we record it so that that person who was not able to attend is able to take the time, go ahead and watch through that meeting. You can search and read the transcripts. The searching piece is unbelievable. So you can search for a person, you can search for a particular word, you can view that transcript. So some people prefer to read rather than listen or watch. They have that option too. You can share and watch, and you can comment on videos. So nice having that shareability, just like everything else in Microsoft 365. And if you want people to be able to comment, that is a feature you can turn on or off to comment on videos. So maybe it was a safety video and you want people to comment and say, yes, I'm glad they did this safety video because that happened to us last month or last year. Or, great information, those kinds of things, just like the YouTube channel that Jan has. In addition to recording just Teams meetings, you can record your own videos. And you can take whether they're team meetings or the other videos that you record, and you can embed those on SharePoint pages. So Jan mentioned before, SharePoint is more than just a file repository. You can have those pages be like any other web page. When you're out surfing the web and they have a video embedded on there, you can have your SharePoint pages have those videos too, whether it's a 2-minute video or whether it is an hour training video on some particular topic. You can also add those videos because they're a file, just like a Word or an Excel file, the MP4 file, and you can add it as a tab in Teams. So that if it is a video that is really important, people are accessing it all the time or need to have access to it all the time, they may not know it, you can go ahead and add it to Teams. So the integration is it's really embedded across everything Microsoft 365. So where do you access it? Well, Stream Classic was just a single portal. As I said, if you wanted to do any videos, you needed to go to Stream Classic and put them in that portal. Stream on SharePoint is more of a personalized home base. And so it's customized, it brings in all the recordings and all the videos that you have access to, no matter where they live in the 365 environment. So how do we access them? Well, I'm actually going to start with accessing Stream on SharePoint first, because that is what is rolled out right now. And then we have to kind of go back to see the classic Stream. So just like any other apps on the web, you want to go ahead and go to your app launcher and click on Stream. And what that's going to do is it's going to take you to a page that looks something like this. Yours may not look exactly like mine. It may or may not be pink. Sometimes it depends on what color and theme that you have chosen of what it's going to look like. But the layout of the create new, the recommended, and then all the videos that you have access to or recently looked at or shared with people or favorited, they're all down here. And you'll notice that there's multiple places on here that you search. So you can search up here, which is going to search across everything 365, or you can filter just the videos by keywords. So you can put a word in there and say, I want this or that, and it will search just the videos that.
Hey, Nance, quick question. I think you just said that, I just want to repeat. So if there's basically any video that that's been shared with me would show up in my Stream library right down here. There's nothing more I need to do to see everything? Correct. Awesome.
And so it's kind of nice if you know what it is. You can search for what was that meeting called, what was the date of that meeting. You can put those filters in there and you can just narrow it right down. If there's certain ones that you refer back to frequently, you can favorite them. So they're going to show up in your favorite list. And if you just watched it and you're like, oh, I missed something in it, it's going to show up on your recently opened so that you can go back and go, yep, that's the one that I want to review again. So it's nice. Like I said, it's your personal hub where as we go forward, so how do I go ahead and access the Stream Classic? On the very top of the new Stream, it says up here, welcome to Stream on SharePoint. And if you want to visit the Classic Stream, click here. So when you go ahead and click on that, it opens up this page. I don't know if you've ever been there. If you're actively using it in your organization, then you probably have. If you're not actively using video in your organization, you may go, I've never seen it. I didn't even know it existed. So it's just a little bit different. It does have some scrolling at the top. It says, hey, this one's trending. This is not interactive, so I can't click on it. But you'll see there's 5 little scrolls and it gives you different videos. It has a little spot here that says, hey, do you want to learn how to? So some videos and some teaching built in right into it. The news stream doesn't have it quite so obvious as this to learn how to do it. And then again, it shows trending videos and it shows popular channels. Now, those channels are not the same channels that you have in Teams, and that's very important. And so I know early on when people were going, well, hold it, I have channels over in Stream and I have channels in Team. Are they the same? And it's like, no, they are not the same. They are different. So again, thinking of YouTube, right? You have YouTube channels. Jan has her CTC Productivity. And so if you were to favorite channels in YouTube, think of it as that. So if you went and looked and it's like, here's the channels that I favorited in YouTube, that's what the popular channels sort of are, is that people have been going there and looking at those. And so you might be interested in those. When you want to go ahead and upload in the Stream Classic, you only had 2 options of where you were going to upload that video: into a group, which is a Microsoft 365 group, typically which has a SharePoint site and or a team on top of it, or into one of these created channels. Those were your only 2 options. Stream on SharePoint, you can put that video anywhere. It can be on any SharePoint site. It can be on your OneDrive. It can live in Teams, which essentially is SharePoint. It can live in Viva Engage, which again, as I said, used to be Yammer because you can upload files there. So it doesn't have to live just attached to this one group or in this one channel. It can be anywhere and it's going to show up on that homepage if you have access to it. So that's really kind of nice. A little bit expanded view of the Stream Classic to when you would jump in there. And there's some of these things that you can still do, and there's some that you can't because, and I don't have the exact end of date life. You can always look at the roadmap. I believe it is sometime next year. And so if your organization is actively using Stream Classic, there is a whole migration and they walk you right through what do you need to do to migrate from the Stream Classic over to Stream on SharePoint, and make sure that your videos still are the way that you want them and grouped together, and all your links are correct wherever you have them embedded. So if you do need to do that migration, take a look or talk to the IT department or whoever it is that takes care of that, and follow the steps to do the migration to move those videos. But the old one, you would pop in here and you'd be like, okay, I want to discover, and you'd click on videos and it would show you some, and you would look at your channels, or hey, did people who has a video or what groups. It also then had, here's my content. What are the ones that I did, meetings I attended, videos that I've added to watch list. And then it had the create and the search as well. But you could only upload really again to that group or that channel. And you had the ability to record, which we'll get to in a minute. So that's kind of what that classic stream looked like. And I always thought it was a little clunky. So I kind of like that here I am in the stream on SharePoint. And I just went ahead and I just changed my view from the big cards, the adaptive cards, as they call them. And I just had it do a list. And I told it to sort it by the most recent video that was in here to the oldest video that was in here. And again, you can filter down, you can put it back into that card view. You can click on any of these options up here. So I think it's a little bit, you have more control of what you're seeing rather than the old stream too. Not everybody had the ability to create those channels. Typically that was a role given to certain people in the organization to create the channels, put the videos on there, and manage that. And so now it's really kind of everybody in the organization's responsibility to make sure that the videos are in the right spot on their team, on their SharePoint site. And then maybe have one person who's going to go ahead and manage those. And you'll see here, there's a playlist. And so at the end, I'll show you a little bit about how you can create those playlists, which is really kind of cool. So on Stream on SharePoint, I told you that you could find your videos. So here I am in Teams. I'm in a team. I'm in a channel called Clients. I'm in Files, and there they live. And so it's like, yep, these are recordings of client meetings. And so boom, they're right there. They're easy for me to go back and access, or anybody who is part of that team. I then just went ahead and opened this file structure over in SharePoint just so you can see that it matches. So whatever lives on Teams lives out on SharePoint, and it is a one-to-one match. And if you were to upload it over here on SharePoint and you have a team, it's going to show up in here. If you don't have a team for that SharePoint site, that's okay. It can still live out here, and it doesn't matter what folder it lives in out here. So that's a nice thing too. You also do have the ability, maybe it's not a Teams meeting that you recorded. Maybe it's a different recording from something else, like this Zoom meeting, and I want to upload it. No problem. Just go to the location where you want it to be, and you can go ahead and upload it. So you're not limited to the recordings that you would do, either the Teams meetings that automatically use Stream as a playback, or the ones that you're going to record. You can upload any MP4 into Teams or SharePoint or OneDrive, and just put it right in play in the environment. So in OneDrive, if you are in a meeting and you are recording that meeting, by default, that recording is going to go in your OneDrive if that meeting was not scheduled in a channel. If the meeting was scheduled in a channel, it's going to go ahead and record in that channel and put it in that folder structure. But if it's not, and it's just you scheduled the meeting and you're recording it, it's going to save in your OneDrive into a folder that Microsoft automatically creates for you called recordings. So it's kind of nice that you can pop in there and any ones that you have. By default, whoever was invited to that meeting also should have access to that recording after the meeting. So it's kind of a cool thing that you don't have to worry about sharing it. It should automatically share because you invited them to the meeting. So
Nancy, does that include external?
It is supposed to include external
Okay.
with those meetings. So yes.
Okay.
Now, I noticed this the last couple of days when I was putting this together, my OneDrive got a refresh. And I don't know if everybody on the call, their OneDrive got a refresh, but I'm like, wow, what are these things down here? And so in my OneDrive, I had browse by people. And so when I clicked on it, it says, okay, here's people that you have been interacting with, and here are different files that you have shared or that have been shared during whatever that interaction is. So you'll notice that this one happens to be Stream. This one's an Access database. This one, this one is a PDF. This one is an image. And there's actually two more that David and I have in common. And if I would click on it, it would show me, are they some more recordings or what type of files they are? And I'm like, that is really cool as a nice, again, dashboard. And I know this isn't about OneDrive, but I thought that's cool.
No, that's cool.
The next one you'll see down here is meetings, right? And so now meetings, typically what you're sharing in a meeting or doing is having that recording. And you'll see that with my past meetings. And it tells me, and even shows me, if I were to click, I could see who was I in that meeting with? And is that the one that I want to go ahead and look at? Or, yeah, I had that meeting and we recorded it. So let's go ahead and I need to check something out in it. I didn't scroll down far enough on here. I just have to be honest. I was just so excited when I saw it. But I also believe that if during that meeting you had shared files, because it says browse files, that all of those files would be here too. So just like back on that previous slide where it says David and I have 2 additional files in common, it would say, hey, you have 3 more files. So if you shared an Excel document or a Word document, again, it's a way to easily get access to all that information. And that's one of the goals of Microsoft, is they're trying to do some things to make it a no-brainer for you. Less work for you to go and find things. Let's bubble it up and put it right in front of you. So next is permissions. And I've already alluded to this as I've gone through the last few slides, but in Stream Classic, really the permissions are only to the people that you give access to that video. if you give access to a Microsoft 365 group, then it's the people in that group or a security group. And also I mentioned earlier that the Stream Classic, you could only share those videos internally. And I thought, what a shame.
Mhm.
So I am so glad it's the last one on here, but I'm going to start with it, is that the sharing is internal and external. So if you do go ahead and you have a recording, let's say you did a meeting and you're like, oh man, we forgot to invite so-and-so, but that's because they're not in our team, they're outside of our team. You can take and you can share, just like any other file, that recording with that person outside of your team, but within your organization. Or you can share it externally with anybody else outside of your organization. There are no longer those limits of, sorry, only internally. The doors are open. With sharing, a little bit of a soapbox I like to get on. I always encourage people, when you share a file and you're doing that link, share it with a specific person so that you know exactly who that file is shared with, especially if it's with somebody externally, because it's very easy then to go back in and say, oh, we're going to, take away their access to this particular file. And if you just do an anyone with the link, you don't know who is actually accessing your data. The other things about the permissions is they're the same as all the other files, and they're based on their locations. So if that stream video is stored in Teams and there's 10 people on the team, all 10 people automatically have access to it. So you don't have to worry about changing those permissions. They're automatically in place for you based on where that recording is being stored, which again is just a really nice feature. Recording the Stream Classic. And I just have to tell you that as I was preparing this, I had never gone into Stream Classic and done any recording. So I'm like, I didn't know you could do that. So it must have been a feature that they added since the last time I really deep dove into Stream. So you could actually go in and record your screen or your web camera, but it was one or the other. With Stream on SharePoint, they're giving you not only screen and webcam, but you can have a combination. So you could have your webcam of you sitting there and whatever presentation you're doing on a monitor, that screen behind you. So you can have that combination. And they also allow you to put some effects on there. You can do filters. So think of, as you get into Zoom, those filters that you can apply with backgrounds and lighting and those kinds of things. You can add text boxes, you can write, you can circle things as you're recording that. You can put photos on there. So there's a lot more functionality and ability to make that video more of what you want it right within the Stream on SharePoint platform. So when you do go ahead and click record on the old platform, which again isn't going to be available for very long, but I just wanted to show you what it would look like. It pops up as always and says, hey, do you want to use this? So yes or no. And then you have some options down here of, your microphone, your camera, turn it on. Are you doing screen and camera? And then go ahead and record. So it's kind of plain. There's not a lot of things you can do. There's only a few things. And it does say and remind you that when you do record, they are limiting that recording to 15 minutes. And so think of it as a 15-minute, I'm walking through how do you access something. And so it's really kind of nice. You don't necessarily want to record if it's a meeting. You have the ability to record those. So these are just some other little blibs that you might want to do. So I think it's okay that they had that 15-minute limit. All right. So when I went into the other stream, I did get also the pop-up up here that said, do I want to use my video and my camera, or my audio and my camera? And I had to say yes. And again, you'll notice there's a 15-minute. The other one, I'm not sure if it counts down, but here, when you do hit record, it counts down. So it's going to let you know when you've reached your 15 minutes. I'm like, that's really kind of cool. You'll see at the very top up here, you have the ability, where do you want yourself on that screen? So I have a background that I had applied. And I just chose the center, but I could have put me off to the left over here, off to the right. So again, if I was then sharing also my screen, I wouldn't hopefully be in the way of what I was sharing on my monitor. And then this is just the toolbar. It's here as you are starting to record and as you are recording. And so again, you can go ahead, put text boxes on, you can scribble on it, circle things, put little stickers. Can't remember what that one is. This puts a border around it. Yeah, I can't remember. And this is to add a picture. Some of these are like, what do they do? So, and do you want video? Do you just want audio? So you have a lot of options in here. And then the big button right here in the center, that's the go ahead and record. And this one over here, this lets you go ahead and blur your background or change your background effects. And so it's kind of nice. I don't know if one of the effects you can put on there, like Zoom, you can put bunny ears or elephant ears or things on there. I'm not sure if those are there as well. But whatever's there, I am confident they will be adding more and more features to this. So just watch out for those to come down the pike.
So Nance, that would be it's definitely a great tool to use for like procedures, right? Where maybe you want to do a screen share and show how you're doing step by step on a new application, something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to watch more than 15 minutes on how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
And typically I would say you're looking at those kind of recordings, because I have one client that did that for a Power App that was created for them. And she did 4 different recordings, and I don't think any of them are over 7 minutes.
Perfect.
I think there's a 3 and 4 and a 5, and there's one that's 7. So yeah, it's really nice. The organization, and again, I've alluded to this and talked about it. How do you organize? So on the Stream Classic, you organize by those groups and channels, and that's it. And the Stream on SharePoint, as I mentioned, it's same as all the other files: SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, groups and folders. So in addition, you can create a folder and call it whatever types of videos and put them in there. You can create a separate document library and put them in there. Share them in your Teams or on your sites. I know I'm over, Jan, but I'm almost done.
That's all right. Oh, good.
So what about the different information just about the video? Well, they both have titles, descriptions, thumbnails that you can play with, transcriptions, but Stream on SharePoint adds a couple extras, and it adds captions, so that if you are recording with captions, live captions, those will be in there, and also chapters. And chapters to me are the coolest one. So your descriptions, again, I'm only showing this on Stream on SharePoint because these are like the new things, really. Your descriptions and your expiration. You'll want to make sure that you are looking at your recordings, because your organization may have set up that all your recordings will expire at a certain time period. And so as I've looked at ones that we've recorded for clients and we've gone back into them, it says 180 days, this is going to expire. And they're like, what does that mean? I said, it's going to be deleted. They're like, no. I said, well, that's okay. We go ahead and we click on it and we change it to no expiration date. It typically also is going to show you when, right? The name of it, which you can change, and where it lives. And you get to add a description. These descriptions are gold, because I told you before, you can search for these. So if the words are not in the name of the recording, it's going to go ahead and it's going to look at what is in those descriptions. So don't dismiss those descriptions. Be very clear. It also helps others in your organizations know exactly what that video is about and if they want to watch it. Oops, I went too far. Click happy. The settings. So in the settings, your thumbnail is that picture of what is the picture going to show when you look at that video, and you can change that. You can upload it to something else. You can use any image in that whole video as your thumbnail. Your about, that is that description. So yes, have that on. I'm going to show you a little bit on transcripts and chapters. You can decide if you want comments on and off. And then there's some analytics, and they are adding more and more analytics. You can actually, I believe it's if you have the Teams premium license, the analytics will deep dive and it will show you. So just like your website in your organization or others, if you know some of these statistics, it can show you how long was somebody on that video and when did they decide to get off of that video. And so you might find if you have an hour training video that everybody after 40 minutes is just, they're done. They don't want to watch anymore. So it might make sense to break that video up. So those analytics can really be helpful for those people that are going to monitor those for those different training videos that are out there. So let's take a quick look at transcription. This is one of my favorite things in that as soon as you are done with a recording, you can go into the Stream Hub and you can transcribe it. And it breaks it up for you, but you actually can even go in here and edit it. So if it didn't transcribe it quite right, it missed some words or it totally misunderstood the word that was said. And so you have the ability to go in and edit that transcription. The transcription is also 100% searchable. So if I know in that meeting someone was talking about, going to, someplace, maybe the Caribbean, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. They told me exactly what hotel to stay in during that meeting. I know that's not what it was about, but I can go and I can search for that particular word. And so I love that it's, it'll jump you right to it. Also the chapters, you get the ability to go in. And so if you're our training, many times we touch on multiple topics, like even today, right? We have multiple topics we're talking about. And so you can do chapters. And so if I just want to go to the information about what do you mean column headers and filters, I can go and watch that again. And so it's nice to be able to just jump right to that section instead of, oh, okay, here, yeah, right. You grab your scroll bar on that recording and you're like, is this the right spot? Is this the right spot? You don't have to do that anymore.
Hey, Nance, question, and maybe I just missed it. How do those headers get created? Like column headers and filters? Is it picking up a term or a concept, or are you doing that to create the chapters?
This was an Outlook training, but you're talking about the chapters. So this one, and I don't know why in this one, we created chapters based on meeting data. You can edit them. It doesn't always, I believe there's a toggle on or off that it'll create them automatically. You get the ability to go in there just like the transcript and you can edit any of it. And you're like, I don't want that chapter. So you just delete that chapter. And then you just have on the right hand side, you have the chapters, and on the left hand side, you have the video. And so you get to see as you drag your little bar across your video recording, what is your timestamp? So you can say, okay, yep, I want to start my chapter here. And you do have to watch a little bit of your video and go, okay, yep, I'm changing topics here. So I'm going to stop it. And that's the end of that one. And what do I want this? Typically, I think this just automatically brings in whatever image is at that particular time slot. And then you go ahead and you create another chapter.
Awesome.
So it's really cool. The last one I think is also super cool because people are like, oh man, with the old stream, we had all these channels set up and then we had them embedded on these SharePoint sites. And now what are we going to do? And so instead of a channel, you can take any of the stream videos and you can create playlists just like you do with Pandora or Amazon Music or iHeartRadio. And it uses Microsoft Lists. So again, it's absolutely integrated with everything Microsoft. And it goes ahead and you create a playlist, whatever you want to call it, and you add videos and you can always come and continue to add more videos. So if you had a playlist that was annual meetings for the organization, you could add all the past ones if they were recorded. And as new ones come in, you just pop into that playlist and you go ahead, you add a new item, you find where it lives and you add it in here. The next coolest thing, and I think I've said that 100 times today, this is the coolest thing. Coming soon is video editing.
Mm.
So right now you can trim, all right? You can trim the front off, trim the back off, but you can't do a lot of editing. Microsoft bought a product called Clipchamp. I'll say that again, Clipchamp. You can experience it for free right now with a Microsoft personal account. They are looking in the next 12 to 18 months to integrate it and embed it into Stream on SharePoint. And so that you will be able to go ahead and edit all of your enterprise organizational videos right inside of Stream using Clipchamp. So that's
awesome.
it.
Awesome. So Nance, you have one question out there already, but let me go ahead and wrap up first. And feel free to keep entering any questions in the chat, or when I'm done, feel free to unmute yourself. So awesome job, Nance. That's super interesting and exciting. So I just want to talk a couple slides about what we do, because a lot of people come to our webinars and they're like, but can you help me with this? And so go ahead, Nancy, move
Oh,
the,
sorry.
that's okay. So yeah, we basically help companies with any aspect of Microsoft 365, whether it's like getting you off of Google onto 365 or getting your data off of the network server onto SharePoint and OneDrive. So we go through the whole process of really peeking under the hood, figure out what needs to be set up, moving everything over, and then we get into the optimize phase, which is really where we continue to help drive productivity, look at the business apps, building out SharePoint applications, lots of great stuff. Our intention is definitely to be in and out of your business, not have you dependent on us. So our intention is to wrap up, train your staff to understand how to support and maintain and use these applications. I think our secret sauce is in this particular area. We believe that group training and one-on-one training both are critical. There's a lot of people that are kind of stuck in their ways, don't want to leave email. And when you do a little personal hand-holding, allowing people to maybe do more training where they're doing the hands-on work, more kinesthetic training, a lot of times that gets them over the hurdle. The other thing to know is there's a million different ways to do everything in Microsoft, which is good or bad, depending on your perspective. And so we help guide companies with understanding how do you apply these concepts and practices to your business and the way your business runs, and come up with what we call an operations manual, or we call it rules of engagement, which is really your operations manual on how your business is going to use the Microsoft 365 suite. And so that's a big part of our secret sauce for adoption, is those two pieces. And it's a very iterative process. So just a repeat for this September, I cannot believe we're at September again. That's so crazy. It feels like we were just at September. The session next month, Arnie will be doing about how to reduce onboarding time and errors. Again, I don't have the registration link for that right now, but I put a whole bunch of links out on in the chat. So you can sign up for our newsletter, and then you'll find out about any new upcoming webinar. You can go out to our website to see past recordings. That's where we always put the next link, and they're always on a Tuesday, about a month apart. And on that note, we'll open it up to Q&A. So Nancy, it looks like you have a couple of questions in the chat.
Awesome. All right, let me pull it over here so I can see it. So licensing. E5, you said you probably have, or you do have Stream. I know that Business Premium has Stream because I have Stream. The question is, do you need a Stream license to watch a Stream video? My gut tells me yes. Arnie, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I thought that it included everything too, and I've been researching the last 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm finding conflicting information actually.
Yeah,
So-
I know Business
Can I
Premium
add
for
to this?
sure includes it because that's what I have.
Same
So-
here.
So Business Premium doesn't show on the website that it does include it, but it does show on E3 that it includes it, which is where I was confused.
Yes, I would have to agree when you go to look at some of the plans online of what's included where Microsoft sometimes has missed the boat. It's like, can you just give me all the little icons of what's included instead of this laundry list of how it's broken down into productivity and security? Just give me the
Yeah,
icons.
And
But I
right
know
now
business-
I'm looking at the actual Microsoft page, and it does not show Stream, but I know it has Stream because I have it.
Yes.
I
So,
hope that doesn't mean they're intending to change.
yeah, no, you should not have to change any of your licenses.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. And Nancy, another one out there from Amy. One employer that uses Google Zoom. Oh, employer, okay. And the other uses Microsoft.
All right, so I gotta read this again.
So Amy, you're an executive assistant and you support 2 different clients. One uses Google and Zoom and the other uses 365, it looks like, and you're having trouble with calendar alignment and scheduling. Amy, do you want to unmute maybe and
Yeah.
hi?
Hi. Yeah. So I joined this because my one employer uses Microsoft, like she has her Mac, her iPad Mac, and uses Microsoft 365 and the Exchange for like her personal website, web email. And like I am not super familiar with Microsoft 365 and how it works. Like trying to get our calendars to align has been a very big challenge. And so because she doesn't want to change the way she's doing things, so I'm literally just like, because on my calendar working for the two employers, I need to like split my time. And so I like need my calendar, and then I have my one employer's calendar, and then my other employer's calendar. And when we use Google, it all just meshes really well, but trying to get her Outlook calendar to like merge with a Google calendar and just have everything show up on the same calendar, I can't seem to make that happen. And I've tried quite a bit of time, and I've just resorted to like, I'll just put it on all the calendars individually.
Mm-mm.
But then a time change happens, then I need to do that.
Yeah.
Also, my
Right.
employer wants to like record some videos to share with her clients, but she's not sure how to go about that and asked me to look into it. And I was like, that's not my area of expertise. But oh, look, here's this meeting. So let me check it out. I'll see what I can do.
Well, great. So definitely with the last one, now you know a little bit more about Stream and that you can go in
Yeah.
there and she can record those little 15 minutes. I had another client too. She was really excited when I showed her that. And because she's a financial advisor and she goes, I would love to do just a quick update on the market and put that out there and share it with my clients. And so she was super happy about that. So that's the easy one.
Yeah.
Google and Microsoft don't always like to play nice, but you do need to know what steps to go through the process. So if you want to talk more about that, why don't you reach out to Jan, and then Jan will, we'll figure out what direction to go with that, right, Jan? Because it's
Okay.
not a quick and easy. It's not like I can say, just go
Yeah.
here's the 3 things to do.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have to be doing just a little bit of playing around. I
Okay.
have experience with that because I do have a Gmail account as well as Microsoft accounts. And so I do like them no matter which environment I go into. I want to be able to see what's happening in both worlds all the time.
Yeah.
And so I have dabbled and have it so that I can do that. So we can
Yeah.
definitely take a look at that.
Yeah, Amy, sorry, if we can answer the question right off, we're always happy to, but this one sounds a little bit more in depth. So we
It
just
does.
reach
I
out
see
to
a
me if you
link.
have an interest. We do like a retainer and have Nancy spend some time with you. So just reach out to me if
Okay.
you're interested in that.
Okay.
So yeah, sounds.
Yeah,
a
and I
little
saw the
formal.
link there that you sent, so I could look into that as well. Like
Yep.
I feel like I've done this before. It's like, okay, this says this will sync the calendars, and then it doesn't quite work, and I don't know if it's like an error on my end or if
Yeah.
my boss and her iMac is just
Yeah,
not
one of the things that
having the
is
settings right. And
right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, one of the things that's going to be important as you try to walk through it is you do need to have access to both sides of the coin
yeah,
to make
Uh,
sure that
so-
you're following the steps.
I'm sorry to
Right.
interrupt, but I've got something to add on this that'll be really helpful because I had this problem
Okay.
when I moved to ClickUp.
Great.
Because ClickUp only uses Google. There's a real niche app that you pay like £3. It's really easy to do from the Google end into Microsoft. But if it's the
Yeah.
Microsoft end into Google, there's like a niche app that you can spend. It's like really like a few dollars a month, and it'll forward the sync. But there is something out there that you can just have a dig online. Because I had a real niche case where in my project management software I couldn't get my Microsoft calendar to come up because it used Gmail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to
Um,
interrupt. I just
No,
No,
that was
that's fine.
fabulous. That's
Please,
wonderful.
please add. Do you remember the name of this niche app I could look into?
I don't, but if
Okay.
There's one called Sync 2. Is that it?
there'll be a few, but it's just a couple of dollars a month, and it just copies
Right.
it. You'll be able to find it if you
Okay.
dig.
If I
Yeah.
dig for it.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful.
And you
Perfect.
don't always need an app. I mean, like I said,
Right.
if you do the steps in the order that they need to be done in, you can get it to work without an app. But yes, one of the apps that I have used over the years, and it's more to sync with my phone than it is to necessarily sync on other places, is Companion Link, and they have great software and great service. But I
Okay.
don't know that you necessarily, for what you're trying to do, I'm not sure that you need a third-party app. It's just a matter of
Right. But maybe because my boss really likes to work from her phone, and I feel like that's part of the thing where she doesn't have the settings right on her phone, and I'm not going to go on her phone and be like, hey, we really need to manage this. But she's like, I really like to like make these appointments from my phone, but then they don't show up on the calendars, right? And then we don't show up at meetings because they're not in the right places. And I was like, let me help you.
right.
You hired me to help you. Let
So
me help you.
one of the things, and I don't know how tech savvy she is, that you might want to ask her, and I bring this up because of my mom, actually. My mom has 3 different calendars on there, and one day she's like, how come nothing's showing up on my calendar? And I looked, there's hers, my dad's calendar, and my aunt's calendar. And I
Yeah.
said, all the things that you added to my aunt's calendar. You didn't add them to yours. Well, how did I do that? And I'm like, I don't know, because the default calendar is yours. So you had to tap some things. So
Yeah.
that could be as simple as that, is she's
Could
not
be.
paying attention, that when she's adding things on her phone appointments, by
Yeah.
default, it's adding them to her iCalendar, right? And not her
Yes.
Microsoft calendar.
Yeah.
And the default calendar isn't her Microsoft calendar. So it could be as easy as
It
that.
could be as easy as I really need to push because I've mentioned that before, and she's like, no, I checked. And I'm like, could I check?
Yeah.
I love it. All right, gang, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I hope that helped, and thank you for contributing. So Nance, awesome job. And yeah, have a good week, everyone. Thanks so much.
All right.
Thank you very much. This was
Thanks
wonderful.
again.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our webinar today. My name is Jan Lehman. I'm the owner of CTC Productivity, and we've been doing these webinars for many years. And so if you want to check out some of our past webinars, you have a couple options. One is you can head over to our website, ctcproductivity.com, and look underneath resources and then webinars, and you'll see all our past recordings we've been doing for the past few years. And there's also a link there then to register for the next upcoming webinar. The other option for you is head over to YouTube and find our CTC Productivity channel, and be sure and subscribe while you're there so you're sure not to miss any other recordings that come out. And if you're curious about our Microsoft 365 services and how we can help you leverage the power of Microsoft 365, feel free to check out information about that service on our ctcproductivity.com website. Just look under areas of expertise and productivity consulting, and we share a little bit about how we work there. And be sure and fill out the contact page while you're there. So yeah, we can set up a meeting and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. So thanks so much. Again, Jan Lehman with CTC Productivity. Have a great day.